All right, boys and girls, starting the third video on this Sasha sign. So we're all set up. I got that group part that you saw at the last of the last video. So now it's time to get this part carved. So I've got the profile bit in, and I've put a different profile bit in. This is, you guys that have been watching me for a while know that I keep my profile bits, and the more I grind them down, the fatter they cut. And being as this is all really big and open, I'm using what I call a fat profile bit, so it cuts a little bit wider. And I got it set at about 1/4 inch. So there's a couple places where I'll have to really be careful. There's a couple knots that I'll have to be careful of on this end. So anyway, wanted to let you guys know that. Let's turn on my lights and let's do it. Oh, I guess I need my cheaters on. Take this stuff off. Do I have enough cord? Well, I kind of do. I need a little bit more cord. Hold on. That should do it. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, folks, something I want to talk about a little bit here that I hadn't planned on, but because I'm actually a little deeper than 1/4 inch, and it's cutting really good. I got this cutter really sharp. However, one thing that I'm going to have a little bit of an issue with is because this white poplar is actually pretty hard. It cuts good, but it's pretty hard. You can see, number one, I'm kind of staying away from the line, coming around, and then I'm going back and I'm trimming it out, and that, you know, that's probably the best way to go in case I hit something that's squirrely, which in this material it could happen. Forgive the chop saw, Dad's working too. But what I've decided to do, and again, that normally would not be an issue at all, but because the reason it's an issue now is because I'm actually, and I'm kind of giving this away a little bit prior to, I'm actually not going to do my background black. It's all going to be natural color. So that being said, it's tending to burn a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's tending to burn a little bit because I'm taking so much wood at a time. So what I'm going to do on the outside, I'm going to back it off a little bit so it's not taking quite as much material, and then I can always go back and widen that line if I need to, which I probably will. So I'll have to make a double cut. So I'm going to back this off a little bit, but I wanted to give you guys a reasoning why. And normally speaking, if this was all going to be sprayed black and sanded off, then it wouldn't make any difference at all that I've got a little burn in there. But because it's all going to be wood color, because I really want to show off this material, because of that, I don't want any burning in there any more than normal. Anyway, just thought I'd share that with you. Here we go. All right, guys. And gals, so that's pretty much what I'm doing here. I'm going to go ahead and, just to save time, I'm going to finish the rest of this up exactly what I'm doing here. I'm going to finish that up off camera. Then we come back, we'll get into the next step. All right, folks, so let me explain what I'm doing here. I finished up all of the profiling. I've got that all done. Now I've started cutting a wider line. I'm using my 90 degree, going a full 1/4 of an inch, actually maybe even slightly more than a 1/4 of an inch. And what I'm doing is I'm just going around all my lines so that when I do my background, I don't have to get as close. You guys have seen me, that's kind of my regular thing, but anyway, I was going to do it go deeper with the profile bit, but because of the way I'm going to do the background is a little bit different than what I've done before, I really need some extra space there. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up this area. I've already done the rest of it from here down to your right, and now I'm going to finish this up so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So now what I want you to really pay attention to is I'm cutting a wider line, but I'm not going in the same line in the same path like this. I'm cutting just outside of that, close enough that I take, you know, that I won't have any high spots, but far enough away that I don't nick my my outset piece. So here we go. Okay, so let me explain something here. When I'm doing this, I'm never too worried about holding an exact line like I am for my outset, because it's all going to be background. And if I err, I want to err to the inside or here to the outside. You can see that I've got a few little places on there that I need to go back and touch up, but it really makes no difference at all because, well, you'll see, because it'll look pretty much the same. Okay, so you'll see just before I did this part, you saw how I went back and I just kind of cleaned that up, and the fact that I went in pretty much in that same groove, I just went a little bit further, so I took that little edge that was left in some of the places. Again, I want to err away from my outset piece so I'm not likely to go in and hit it. So anyway, I think that is pretty much it. So now we're going to do that special background. I've got to do a completely different setup, so we will be right back. All right, kids, it's time. So I am going to do, I was going to do the background first, but because of the way I'm going to do it, I'm going to go ahead and do the border first. I've figured out what I want to do on the border. So baby, if you can pan down here, I'm going to make my first cut. So you can see I've got several different straight lines on here. This is going to be about 1.5 inches border. So I'm using my 90-degree V-groove bit, and I'm at about 1/4 inch. And I'm going to just pull this straight line right here using that technique that you guys have seen me use, where I'm going to actually use my fingers underneath the base plate in order to give me a guide to go by. You guys can, you know, many times you guys want to set up a straight edge and put some kind of a guide on there. That's, you know, you could very easily put a block under here and clamp it on both sides and do it that way. That's fine. If that helps you, that's terrific. I just I like to see how straight a line I can do by just
literally live on the edge.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. I'm not ashamed to tell you I'm a little bit nervous about this, but here we go. Well, I have to inspect that a little bit, but that felt like a pretty decent line. Not too bad. I need to extend that a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to reposition myself over to that side of the table. We'll have to change the angle on where Vicky's filming from and see if we can get that corner. All right. Okay guys, so now I have to draw my lines. I'm going to expand these lines out so I can do this corner and show you what my thinking is. We'll be right back. Hey guys, Vic almost caught me scratching my nose. I had an itch. All right, so here we go. So I've what I'm going to do again, guys, I'm going to try and save as much time. I'll show you exactly what I'm doing, but not go into a whole long, big thing, because there's still a ton more to do on this sign with what I have in mind. So I'm going to do this corner. So I've got my lines drawn at 45 degrees here. And so I'm going to make these cuts and do that right now so you can see what my plan is. These lines, by the way, they're just they're just inadvertent. I didn't measure them. They're simply lines to keep me at that 45, so I'm not following these lines. I'm just using them as a guide so that I'm somewhat at a 45-degree angle when I'm cutting these lines here. All right, so I think you can kind of see what I was doing there. I want to give you guys a little insight if you try this. I was looking actually trying to be observant of both sides of the cutter, which most of the time that's not necessarily the case. I'm just looking at one side. So when I was going this way, I'm looking at this side to make sure, and if you go back and watch, you'll see if I left a high spot when cutting this, I went back and kind of took that down because I want all of these down below the surface so I don't get high spots, because this is going to be black. And yet I was also watching the other side to make sure that I was kind of pretty much staying in line with that 45-degree angle that I want. So now what I need to do is draw my angles the other direction. So I'm going to draw some lines in there, and then we'll be back and we'll cut the other direction. All right, folks, so what I've done here is now I've drawn at 45-degree angle going the other way. I've drawn my marks, and this is where it gets kind of tricky, because I've got to make sure that I don't get confused where these marks are at. So I'm literally going to be pulling the router toward me at a 45. So you can see I've got all my marks pretty much where they want to go. Again, they're just kind of marks to tell me, to keep me on angle. What I'm really looking for is to have the lines close enough together that I get those little diamond patterns. So let's give it a shot and see how it works out. There we go. That's kind of what I'm looking for. Yeah, I like that. That's got a nice stipple effect, I guess, if for lack of a better term. So I'm going to go ahead and do that all the way around. So we'll be back in about 6 hours. Because that's a time-consuming deal right there. But so this is going to be black. I've got a sample of what it kind of what it's going to look like, but you guys will see that soon enough. So we'll be back. All right, folks. So I got it didn't take 6 hours, but it was 4 at least. So I got the outside border all the way done, all the way around. Really happy with it. It was just a lot more work than I thought it would be, honestly. That is a lot of diagonal lines. Anyway, really happy with the effect. I think once it's black, you got a really cool gloss black on it, I think it'll look even cooler. So that is it for this video. We're just going way long. So when we come back, we will get all of the background done. I'm going to use something different on the background again, and I've even got more surprises coming on with this thing. So a lot of work. Anyway, but I'm happy with it so far. Just really looking forward to getting this thing wrapped up and getting it out of here. So hope you guys are doing well. Thanks so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, we'd love for you to subscribe. We'd love for you to give us a thumbs up. Sorry, I swallowed a lot of sawdust today. And if you do subscribe, when you subscribe, please click that little bell icon. That way you get notified every time we do a new video, which is 4 times a week. Still hard to believe we do that much, but we're busy over here. So anyway, that's it. Thank you so much. We love you, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.